The workload that has been put on staff and institutions over the last few years has just been really, really, really significant.
And music lovers from across the globe have begun to descend on Worthy Farm for this year's Glastonbury Festival. Tomorrow night, a number of Irish acts will take to the stage, including the Hothouse Flowers and Mary Coughlin. Galway man Joseph Ruan, who's travelling to Somerset, faced some long delays due to the UK rail strike. He says to him, Glastonbury is equivalent to 100 All-Ireland finals.
This is my 12th or 13th time. Glastonbury regular. Anytime I'm looking up to get a ticket, I absolutely love it. Of course, the last 2 years with COVID, obviously it didn't go ahead. So it's my mecca. 100 All-Ireland finals at once.
That's it for now. We'll have more in the next hour.
News Talk weather.
Thanks to Ryanair. Best present ever. Give them a Ryanair gift card and they'll love you forever.
Mostly cloudy tonight with patchy rain and drizzle, turning persistent in the west and southwest later in the night. Mild with lows of 10 to 14 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
The News Round on Off the Ball.
With Gillette, for an effortless finish to your day. New Gillette Labs Razor with exfoliating bar.
This is News Talk.
All right, you're welcome along. It is Thursday's Off the Ball. Nathan with you until 10 o'clock. We got Keith Wood coming up later this hour ahead of Ireland's tour to New Zealand, and a bit of nostalgia on Keith's trips to New Zealand, which results-wise maybe weren't the most successful. After 8 o'clock, well, Off the Ball are back on the road. We're going to be touring the country over the next few weeks. We started last night in Mahara in Derry. There was a whole load of nostalgia ahead of a huge weekend for Derry football. Enda Gormley and Tony Scullion looking back on 1993 and all of that. So that's coming your way after 8 o'clock. And then on the football show, Brian Gartland, 5-time League of Ireland winner with Dundalk, has his autobiography back. He'll be looking to make it 6th-time League of Ireland winner this season. Still very much part of Stephen O'Donnell's squad. And he's going to talk to us about his success at Dundalk and also his time working with Stephen Kenny. 53106 is the text number. At Off the Ball if you want to get in touch on social media. Richie McCormack, good evening.
Nathaniel, how are you?
And you're missing out on the party, Richie. Joe Molloy live in studio.
Richie, we should be together. What's going on?
What's rare is wonderful.
I would have thought you would have been in the same room for the US Open last week and not for Czech's Notes, the Travellers Championship. But, you know, whatever floats you their boat.
They're all big tournaments, Richie. You know that.
Well, according to Jay Monaghan, they certainly are, yes.
Yeah.
Listen, if Rory McIlroy is playing so well, we just had to have a little get-together.
Is that what constitutes it? Rory's going well. Get into the studio.
Yeah. We are heading for peak McIlroy, where he wins the week before the US Open, wins the week after the US Open, but doesn't actually win the major itself.
That would be something, wouldn't it?
So he's what? Was it 8 under par today, Richie?
8 under par, 5 birdies on his back 9, 3 in his front, not a single bogey in sight. His lowest opening round on the PGA Tour ever. The man is in pretty decent form, I think it's fair to say.
Very strange man, Rory McIlroy, in so many ways. Wonderful, but he was playing brilliantly in Canada. Didn't have his best stuff at all for most of the 4 days at the US Open, and then he rebounds as you sort of knew he would. So these are the vagaries of loving Rory McIlroy if you love Rory McIlroy.
The argument might be that the Canadian Open and the Travellers Championship are played at somewhat easier courses than a major and a US Open, and that the easy courses a player of his talent can rip apart, and the sterner test doesn't appreciate it.
There are many arguments like that made against Rory. Pressure would be another one, but I think in fairness to him, he keeps showing up at every single major, whereas there's an argument it might be better if he really blew very hot and then disappeared for a couple of months, whereas at the moment he's like Mr. Consistent. So Justin Thomas wins the PGA and then flunks out of the US Open last week. That's generally the way to do it these days. Consistency is overrated in the world.
Tell me about it. Yeah. Tell me about it. You're just back from Derry.
Yeah.
Back on the road. You went out to meet your people.
Yeah. I obviously Shane Hannon was there as well. I got him to inform the pub that there'd be preferably no eye contact with me, and generally that was observed, and I appreciated that.
Wow. See, he's only half joking. This is the line. I didn't say eye contact, but I definitely said no chit chat.
No chit chat. Busy man. No, it was great. We were in Mahara in Derry, so pretty much right beside Slaughtneil, which is one of the great clubs. And it's only when you're up there you realise how extraordinary it is. And Chrissy McCabe was in here a couple of years ago, McCabe with Ger Nolan, and he was talking about how, you know, things I didn't know about the club, like in 1981 they withdrew from all competition in support of the hunger strikers, for instance. They were only founded in 1953, and they only really made their big breakthrough of success in 2004, winning the football. And obviously the last decade or so has been off the charts, both in hurling, camogie, men's football, it's just insane. And so we spoke to Tina Bradley, who's from Offaly, married Patsy Bradley, as people would know Patsy Bradley. And she was telling us about this amazing club. Even it has been turned, or they're getting to the point of turning it into a quasi-Gaeltacht area. You know,
wow.
The Irish language there is really prized and cherished. And she was saying, you know, at training sessions, conversations are happening in Irish all around her, and it's kind of a beautiful thing when you're.
And has this been a natural evolution, or has?
No, very concerted.
Okay,
let's make this happen. I think around the turn of the century, it was one of the ambitions.
Right, and have they Gael skills up there?
Yeah. So it's really impressive, really incredible.
Oh.
I mean, it is just about as impressive a club as you come across. So it was great to get a sense of Slaughtneil. We had Eddie Brennan there, and again, this it's a real dual club. So I was thinking, well, I'd be curious to see how Eddie's received. And you arrive into the pub, and there are framed beautiful photos of Kilkenny and their pomp, and I thought, well, he's going to be okay here, and he was great. And then you mentioned the two boys from '93, Tony Scullion, Enda Gormley, two phenomenal players. Tony Scullion, like one of the great full-backs of his generation, won 4 All-Stars, which is no mean feat. Enda Gormley, like one of the great free kick takers, 2-time All-Star, and they were just phenomenal on '93. All these really rich stories in, you know, of a time when football was that bit more romantic and relaxed, and it shines through. And, you know, Tony was kind of telling these amazing stories that his father very early on was, I think it was arthritis, and was on crutches, so never actually saw him play for Derry. He couldn't leave the house. And his mother only ever saw him play once live. You know, it's just the situation as it was, and they didn't have a car at the time. And so, you know, he recounted being at the All-Ireland final, and his father was too nervous to watch the match on television, so he was in the bedroom with the rosary beads, and his mother also with the rosary beads, but able to stomach watching it, was in and out to give reports.
Updates.
And he got quite emotional when he talked about, like, one of the great moments of his life was to come home, and he said, walk up number 22 and put the Sam Maguire in my father's lap. And
brilliant.
His voice crackled then.
Yeah.
Everyone applauded. You know, it was, oh Jesus, you know. So it was lovely. That, and I think that kind of stuff tends to come out more when you have a crowd there.
Yeah. All right, well, that's coming up after 8 o'clock, and we're going to be all around the country. We're down in Limerick next week. We're going to be in Kerry the week after that. I'm sure we'll be in Mayo between now and the All-Ireland final as well. I don't see any reason why not.
Who doesn't love a good wake?
Might as well give them something to do.
What is your sense of the weekend?
My sense isn't great.
Yeah.
Usually by Thursday I've lost a run of myself.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, Clifford, overrated. Sure, we'll probably man-mark him and
stick Paul Gohora on him.
do a job on him. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Maybe he's not fully fit. It'll be grand. And listen, Mayo don't fear Kerry. The wave of momentum behind us, it's just not there this time. But
no,
I'll be honest. You know, half-time in the All-Ireland semi-final last year against Dublin, it wasn't there either, and somehow they managed to turn it around. So
yeah.
Somebody texted in last night pointing out that the weather is supposed to be filthy on Sunday afternoon, which could well play into Mayo hands. And I think anything like that, you're probably taken rather gladly at this stage.
Well, you know, David Clifford, he won't have ever played in that sort of weather before. Like, just won't know what to do with himself. I don't know. What do you think, Joe?
As it gets closer to it, I'm starting to give Mayo more of a chance.
I think any other team with the way Mayo have played this year, you would say no.
Yeah.
But it feels like there's always a game.
Yeah.
And if they can keep it tight early, as long as they don't end up and let Clifford run riot and it's 2006 all over again and the game is done after 20 minutes, you would feel if they can be there at half time, there's something in the psyche that they just won't let go.
Absolutely. Like, I was at the Mayo Kildare match, and honestly, it was the worst Mayo performance I thought I had seen in 15 years until Billy Chobaden was on, and I put that point to him, and he said, yeah, maybe even the Galway performance this year was worse. So they've had 2 of their worst ever performances this year. So no evidence is based on this year. They've been really abysmal, like just even the basics of the game, and not the old energy or sense of belief about them. But then the more the game approaches, you start to really hone in on the fact that Kerry have not been tested at all this year. And you think back to Tyrone last year, several of the Kerry players had cramp, and certainly that was in the post-mortem in Kerry. That was very concerning. What's gone on here? That we're having cramp. We're training all year. Like, where's our S&C? Like, if there's a team in the country, Mayo are pretty much up there as a team who can get together over the last week or so and say, we've played more matches than them. We're not playing our best stuff. Can we take these guys into the trenches, into a physical place they don't want to go? They can't be prepared to go. And that's the nagging sense that Mayo say from the first minute, I want 100% intensity. Unleash, empty yourselves. Everything you can, take this into a war. And if you need to come off, you come off. And at the end of it, will dominate the last 15 minutes. That gives me a sense of this could be very intriguing. The danger, of course, is Kerry opened up early on and they're a bit tighter defensively and they could blow Mayo away.
And I think the flatness and lack of hype around Mayo isn't necessarily to do with Kerry and Clifford. It's more just the draw that actually, obviously it's all about winning an All-Ireland for Mayo. Like, there's no great joy of getting to a semi-final now.
Yeah.
And the thought of you'd have to beat Kerry, then Dublin, and then imagine playing Galway in an All-Ireland final.
That'd be a hell of a one to lose. Yeah, all that feeds into it. They just look flat, they do. But like we said,
Oran has a way.
They do have a way. They have a track record. And that's where it gets...
I'm feeling good, Joe.
Interesting.
I'm starting to feel good again.
Yeah, well, wouldn't feel too good. But I mean, even Clifford, like how there's probably... I heard the lads...
What's your medals?
I heard the lads in the football pod making the point to Tommy, like with Clifford, okay, on the one hand you'd say, well, don't risk him. If he's in any way not right, don't risk him because Kerry are better. But then I think it might have been James O'Donoghue who was saying, well, like, hang on. So then you're saying, are we going to play Dublin and Clifford has no football in him? Like, even if they have to get half an hour of championship football into Clifford to be anyway near his best for Dublin. So these are all the considerations.
He's fine. You saw the Jack O'Connor interview on Radio Kerry, I presume.
No.
It was the greatest moment of Yeraism we have ever seen when he was asked about fitness updates.
Right.
And he was talking normally in conversation with the interviewer, and when he was asked about it, the hand went toward him out. It went like this now, and there's a few bumps and bruises now, and sure, we'd have to see how they train later in the week. But I wouldn't. Has David Clifford been training? Yeah, he has. Yeah. But a few bumps and bruises. I was like, glorious. Nothing. Give nothing away. He'll play.
He probably will. Do you know, he was a big talking point even after the show amongst all the... I mean, everyone up there is just GA mad, so we were all talking football, and like, this is literally pub talk, so, I mean, take it with a grain of salt. But, like, with Clifford, and I think the lads in the football pod made the point, and that's why I brought it up, and then we were talking about it. Like, Clifford did a lot of Sigerson and playing for Kerry in the early part of the year, and, like...
Well, Kerry went at it from pretty much week one.
You just want a player that talented, that young, and who's been in demand and had a lot of football under his belt. I mean, I'm not saying, I want to make it very clear, I'm not saying anybody is not
flip it up
totally on top of their jobs down there. You know, like these brilliant professionals, I'm sure. But like, we see too many young players with too much load on them. Like, this injury, James O'Donoghue made the point, this injury isn't something that happened in the last few weeks. This is a legacy maybe of his year, and so that's he wouldn't be the first young player who's been pulled in several directions.
Molloy, Clifford burnt out. There, we got it. The news round is brought to you with Gillette Labs for an effortless finish to your day. See, Richie, I feel you're left out when you're not in here.
Yeah, it's all right, don't worry. I had the run of the place last night. Me and Mick running roughshod over the studio.
That's fair enough. We're back to
find some treats lying around there.
Bring some semblance of peace back to this. Richie is starting his news round with 3 golf stories.
3 helpings of golf. Yeah, it's a quiet Thursday. You can tell. Stephanie Meadow opened with a 1 over par round of 73 at the 3rd major of the year, the Women's PGA Championship today. Korea's In-Gi Chun leads in Bethesda on 8 under par. She's blown everyone away today. So far has Ing. She is 7 shots clear of the field. Leona Maguire got her round underway just after 6 p.m. She has parred her opening 3 holes and remains level. But as we mentioned, story of the day belonging to Rory McIlroy. He's the clubhouse leader at the Travellers Championship following his opening round in Connecticut. The County Down golfer carded a flawless 8 under par round of 62 today, and he's a shot clear of Xander Schauffele and the Scott Martin Laird. Seamus Power's first round got underway at 10 past 6. The Waterford golfer is still level par through his first 3 holes. And also Padraig Harrington 2 shots off the lead following his first round at the US Senior Open. He shot a level par round of 71 today. American Paul Goydos is the clubhouse leader there on 2 under par. That one being played in Bethlehem, PA.
There is a lot of big golf tournaments coming up over the next few weeks, but really all eyes are only on one, and that is Golf Weekly heading to Killeen Castle Tuesday, July 5th. We've got a brilliant day lined up, Richie, for those who love golf. A Peter Lowry clinic. Don't even have to pay for it. Peter Lowry on the range, giving all his expertise. A live podcast recording, food, prizes, and of course a round of golf at the brilliant Killeen Castle. The Golf Weekly Golf Days are exclusive events for friends of the pods only, Richie. So what are you waiting for? Sign up now on otbsports.com/Golf Weekly. I'm excited, Joe.
Very excited. We're literally taking on the JP McManus Pro-Am.
Don't see what could go wrong. No. I've heard Jordan Spieth is thinking, screw the Pro-Am on the Tuesday. I want to be up with my boys.
This is going to be great. We've done these a couple of times and you get everybody together and they're always great days. So I'm really looking forward to it. We haven't done one in years for obvious reasons.
The key to getting into this is to send me a DM and say you're flying in from abroad. I had one yesterday going, I'm flying in from New York. Do you think I could get in? Like, I think you could.
We had a guy from Dubai who came to the one in Portmarnock Links a couple of years ago.
It was a beautiful thing. He was then adopted pretty much by the people he played with, Richie, who brought him out playing golf the 2-3 days after while he was over in Ireland.
Yeah, it was lovely. Yeah. Because they said, how long when are you flying back? And they hung out with him for the few days afterwards playing golf.
So just to reiterate, just so I'm not missing anything here, obviously being out of the studio and don't catch everything, you haven't received the invite for the JP McManus Pro-Am, no?
No.
Lost in the post.
Right, okay. Didn't even get the invite for the Pro-Am for the Irish Open.
How is it that
there we go.
Mark Wahlberg got his invite, we didn't get ours? What's the story?
Yeah, absolute. Harry Redknapp. Harry doesn't need that.
We're thinking of going down there and doing the show from there on the Monday.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And I suppose bringing, 2-minute conversations with Harry Redknapp, Mark Wahlberg, just real, the kind of day that makes you feel very small. We're like, just one word, sorry, just one. Are you enjoying your time in Ireland?
Jordan, please.
That kind of quality content.
Maybe a few minutes with GMAC.
Well, that would be worth doing.
I made this point on Golf Weekly earlier that I was at the JP Pro-Am in 2010 or 2011, whenever the last one happened. And, there was a very small media presence. It was more the celebrity side of things, and there was a few golf riders, and Tiger did a press conference, so everyone went in for that. But it was so relaxed, you were able to walk along the fairways as media with the players. So you were able to walk Tiger's 18 inside the ropes, right beside him in the middle of the fairway. It was probably the most glorious 4 hours of my life. I suspect this year's JP Pro-Am is going to be one of the biggest media circuits in sport this year, because you have all of the Live Golf players playing, all the superstars of Live Golf, all the superstars of the PGA Tour coming together for the one and only time outside of majors for possibly many years.
Why was it so small in 2010-11 territory, the media presence?
I guess there was maybe more access at the time and everyone was quite relaxed about it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what the vibe is going to be. Hopefully very relaxed, but I'm sure we'll be kept at a distance.
I've managed to get through this and just realise that Tiger Woods is going to be there.
Yeah. It isn't saying that Tiger Woods missed the US Open, but he's at the JP McManus Pro-Am.
That's the power. That is the power. Did you see the photograph of Tiger Woods' leg?
Yeah.
It's a nasty old scar.
It's the first time he'd not had a sock, I suppose, covering it, yeah.
Well, there is a lot of speculation that the Open might be his final ever tournament. Now, I'm not sure how much I'd buy into that he'd go from thinking he'd compete to nothing, but...
You could see it. You could see it. I mean, I think it's becoming apparent he's going to really struggle. That he didn't play the US Open, that was a sign. I think that he's more than just like half hobbling his way through. Like, how can he practice enough? How can he be competitive? It'd be a hell of a swan song. But I think he'll go back to Augusta again. It's hard to know. He's the most secretive man of all time. Who knows what he's thinking or how he's feeling.
So, some League of Ireland news, Richie. Waterford United, is it up for sale? Is it not up for sale? Sorry, Waterford FC. Every time I say Waterford United, I get angry texts.
Shocking behaviour, Nathan. This is a really strange story. The Waterford owner, Richard Forrest, has denied that the club is definitely up for sale. The 42.ie reported this afternoon that advisory company Oakwell had been circulating a prospectus to potential buyers that valued the club at €1.3 million. Forrest, whose RNS Holdings only bought Waterford from Lee Power 12 months ago, says the prospectus was a means of assessing market value and potential market interest only. He denies a sale is a foregone conclusion, saying he's disappointed that a board decision has been leaked in such a manner.
Planet Cuckoo Land, lads. Dublin and Kerry will come through easily. First 20 minutes will be frantic, all right, but both will pull away easily when the game settles down.
Well, there's no question Dublin should be Cork. I don't think we're too worried about that one. And as we've said, on the form of this year, you have to write Mayo off, and pretty conclusively. The only thing is they just have this track record, and they are against a Kerry team that don't quite know where they are yet, from a fitness point of view. And so with those ingredients, you can't say it's a banker by any means.
Why are you so crazy about McIlroy? All of a sudden he's playing well. Is that because all the top guys aren't playing against him?
Are we that crazy about McIlroy?
I think we're...
I like him.
I think we have a golf podcast based solely on basically on the back of Rory McIlroy's success.
To be honest, I would think I've probably criticised Rory McIlroy more than any other sports person I talk about regularly in the last 5 years. Because there's a sense that he was stagnating, not addressing glaring weaknesses, and throwing away the chance to become one of the legends of the game. It's only in the last year, I think, we've...
Joe,
rightly said, he's back on board and moving in the right direction.
Here we go.
Here we go. Here it is.
I think it's clear to everybody that you and Nathan and everybody in there, we have Rory McIlroy and Stephen Kenny round for dinner every second night, and that we're best mates. Yeah. Like, just let's get it out there in the open.
Would he not?
Once and for all.
Would he not? Would you not? Like, I would say if you were to listen to us over the last 4 or 5 years, our general tone is one of like disappointed frustration with the
disappointed fathers.
I would say if Rory McIlroy is people listening, they would say we are incredibly harsh on McIlroy.
We talk about him a lot, but I think
that's probably the point.
But he gives you more to talk about than any other golfer.
Yeah.
Like, not a week goes by where he doesn't say something of interest, if you're a golf fan.
But it's not like, God, he was great again. Isn't the wedge play terrible? But like, he's great. You know, I mean, this is the first year in a while it's felt like he's moving in the right direction, so...
You mentioned our great friend Stephen Kenny there, who of course we appointed on Off the Ball as the Republic of Ireland manager. Brian Gartland, he's on after 9 o'clock. His book, One Last Shot. Obviously, a lot of mention of Stephen Kenny. He signed for Dundalk summer 2013. Stephen Kenny gave him the call and said, listen, will you consider it? He was at that stage in his career where thinking I should probably get a proper job. Might sign for Shells. I'm living in Dublin. I'll sign for Shells, get a proper job and move on with my life. And Stephen Kenny said, listen, think about it for a while. He said, all right, I'll give you a call in a couple of days. Stephen Kenny rang back an hour later, said, have you thought about it? And he kind of liked what he had seen of Dundalk under Kenny for the few months he was there. Said, screw it, I'll take the chance, I'll go. And obviously becomes one of the most successful players in League of Ireland history. Lots of revealing insight into Stephen Kenny. One part of it, Richie, Stephen Kenny's go-to song when they were having the nights out with Dundalk. Something Inside So Strong.
By Labby Sifri.
It's a brave song, isn't it?
It certainly is.
It doesn't exactly lift the mood.
No, I'm trying to even figure out what kind of song that is. It's a song of determination and hope.
Everyone knows the chorus. So
how does it go again?
It's too difficult. It's also incredibly difficult.
How does it go?
You see, the thing about it is, with Kenny's voice, I reckon he can do the higher you build your barrier. He can manage that.
Or maybe there's a bit of comedy to it.
Is this Kenny would karaoke this or just request it?
I don't know if they went around the karaoke machine.
But he would request this number.
No, he would. I think he would sing this. This would be his.
All right, okay.
I can hear it.
Like, it's like lay off with the coaching, okay? I mean, like, it's not the most subtle, you know, at all moments do you have to be telling me how great I am. Like, we get it.
You're thinking he's doing this at halftime, and
of course he's like doing it to this is subliminal messaging non-stop 24/7 on the bus home.
Yeah,
I can see now with his arm around Gartland singing this.
Yeah, it ended with his arm not around Gartland. Gartland tried a Cruyff turn. You might remember this against Zenit in the snow in St. Petersburg when he was the last man back.
Right,
get the ball away.
That was a touch too expressive.
he points out that it was last few minutes. All they need to do is just get rid of it.
Okay,
it's like, no, that's not what we do. We tried a Cruyff turn as the last man back, and Kenny went through him afterwards to the extent that it, on Gartland's side, really he felt damaged the relationship. Now he realised afterwards maybe he had blown it up more in his head, but was a bit. He obviously knew he had screwed up massively. But when Kenny came in the next morning, it was like, what have you done?
Right.
Like, this was our biggest moment, and this is what has just happened. So, it's really interesting. He's coming up after 9 o'clock. Paul Pogba, Richie?
Looks like he's definitely on his way to Juventus at the start of next month. It's reported that the France international has agreed a deal with the Bianconeri 6 years after leaving for Manchester United for €100 million. Pogba, of course, is a free agent following the expiry of his United contract, and he'll complete his Juve deal in a fortnight's time when he arrives in Italy.
Well, that was underwhelming.
Who wanted him?
Yeah. Like, he just won't be remembered with any fondness, will he? One of the great flops, an embodiment of things that were wrong with the club, promised so much, had so much ability, and maybe to an extent there is a degree of was enough done to get the best out of him the way France managed to. That if there was an enduring mystery with Pogba, is that he had different managers at Manchester United with different ways of approaching him, from arm around the shoulder to less of that with Mourinho. And nobody could seem to get through to him and get something out of him. So 29 years old, and you kind of think, look.
Well, the next cycle of this is Juventus go and they win the league, and Pogba's central to it, and actually misunderstood.
Yeah. Do you know what though? It's we're all spending too much time on Instagram Reels or TikTok or whatever. Frank Lampard popped up the other day on my screen, and he was talking about Pogba, and he was saying that he didn't have Pogba's ability, but he would look at Pogba and think, well, all the pirouetting on the halfway line, it's not really hurting the team. Whereas my runs into the box, that was that. And if he was saying if Pogba could have done that with his athleticism and his technique, how do you stop him? Souness used to always say that about Pogba. Like, he'd be a nightmare if he kept running in behind you all day. And Lampard was saying, and another thing, all this Juventus, Pogba was amazing at Juventus. He was sort of saying, I watched a lot of Juventus. I don't know how many people who say Pogba was amazing at Juventus watched him week in, week out at Juventus.
Well,
and
they were incredibly successful.
Yes, and they had a lot of very good players around him. I'm sure Pirlo had a hand in running the show. So I got the distinct impression Lampard had watched a lot of Juventus and actually didn't think that Pogba was quite so good as everybody says. Like, we're all like, but he was amazing at Juventus. How many of those games did you watch?
I listened to people who watch those games.
I think there's a bit of that going on with him.
I like that Frank's going, yeah, like his skill set was good, but if he had my skill set, that's what really did some damage.
It was a self-serving comment, I agree. But
from Frank.
But he was right though. You know, like, talk about making the most of your abilities.
Run through a couple of other stories quickly, Richie.
What else have I got for you there? FIFA has approved an increase in World Cup squads to 26. The rule change will come into effect for this winter's finals in Qatar. The move mirrors the expansion of European Championship squads last year to 26. Well, Sligo Rovers have announced that Jordan Hamilton has left the club by mutual consent. The Canadian international striker joined the Bit of Red only in February, making his debut the following month, and he scored twice in 13 appearances. And a nice swan song for Devon Toner. He'll start for the Barbarians in Saturday's match with Spain in Gijón. It will be the former Ireland Lock's final game before retirement. Plenty of other Irish involvement and ancillary Irish involvement in this one too. Ed Byrne and Adam Byrne also start, as does Connacht's departing back row, Abraham Papali'i.
No pressure on Devon Toner after George Cruz. Everybody now wants to see Devon Toner. You didn't see George Cruz in the Barbarians last week?
No.
Backheeled conversion.
Okay.
Straight over the bar.
Dev.
The Barbarians. It's the good stuff.
Big pressure. Great
Joel.
Player. Nice send-off from him.
Certainly is. Thank you very much. Thanks for
Thank
coming
you,
to the
Nathan.
studio.
Great to see you.
Do it again. Wow, we'll see you in a couple of years. It's been great. Enjoy the weekend. We're going to be listening to lots of you over the next couple of nights up in Derry alongside more Trassa. That's coming up, the first piece from that show in Mahara after 8 o'clock. We've Keith Wood coming up in a couple of moments. But now, the cash machine.
Your chance to win big. News Talk's Summer Cash Machine.
So somebody missed Barry's call today, which means there's a huge